Yo, what's going on, guys? This is Grim Reaper bringing you guys another One Punch special. Today we're going to be addressing the top 20 demons in One Punch Man. Now, for this list, there was a lot of criteria that was required for it. We had to do a lot of research. We even had an entire stream where we had a tournament with a lot of these guys to help decide a lot of different things about them. So for this list, and this list only, it won't be completely based on strength, but as well as how well they do with their maximum capabilities, the different varieties of abilities that they have. So we are going to see one or two guys in the list who may beat a person or rank or two above them, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're just stronger. So let's get into the list. At a number 20th spot, we have Great Glutton. Great Glutton is a huge lizard, very powerful. We didn't get much of a presentation from him, but the intimidation that he presented up against a few of the demons that were on his side in the association really made me think of him in a different light. Even though he got easily defeated by Pig God within one or two panels, and he was even off-screened. It seemed as if he had some durability capabilities, as if he had some brute strength allowed with him. So he does make the list at the 20th spot. And on 19th spot, we have Senior Centipede. Senior Centipede showed up against Metal Bat with Raphacidian. Their combination in the fight with Raphacidian's poison sleeping powder spur, whatever you want to call it, helped weaken and put Metal Bat to sleep almost, or hypnotize him to getting to that point. While Senior Centipede was able to bash Metal Bat, he did give him some pretty effective and significant damage, enough that he was able to like power up and beat them both within like one or two hits each. So we can indeed possibly speculate how strong Senior Centipede has to be to beat up Metal Bat like that. He is going to have some physical strength feats because of it, and he also has a carapace. We know that most of the centipedes are known for their exceptionally tough carapaces. We would assume that the bigger that they are, the stronger that their carapace is. So Senior Centipede does hold the 19th spot on this list. For the 18th spot on the list, we have Armored Gorilla. Armored Gorilla showed up in Chapter 8 up against Genos for the House of Evolution. A big armored up guy, tough looking, and it seemed when he showed up that he had different intentions that weren't for Genos, but even though that was the case, he still attacked him. And the fight wasn't as long as we'd like it to be. It wasn't, like 5 to 10 pages. It was a little quicker bout, but he showed a few abilities in that presentation, not to mention after that, when he punched out the other gorilla that he met. He was jumping up fast. He took a direct blast from Genos, which at the time period wasn't as strong as it is now. We've seen him take on Elder Centipede and do some real damage to him, so we know he's improved greatly in terms of firepower. But back then, it still took out one or two city blocks when he did his blast point blank. And he actually took the hit head on and then was able to surprise speed blitz Genos from above. So Armored Gorilla does have some tactical capabilities, not to mention his physical strength, slamming down and breaking the ground easily when it comes. So Armored Gorilla is a tough one. He may actually be able to beat one or two guys above him, but for now he's going to hold that position. For our 17th position, we have Rhino Wrestler. Rhino Wrestler is one of the tougher demons who, with the influence of Girl, had his aspirations raised. He's a very tough guy, as in like tough body-wise, strong, physically capable. In one of the panels that we see him for his introduction, he's punching an exceptionally large tire around a bunch of demons, around a bunch of other monsters in the association. And that tire seems to be bigger than some of them, and he's just knocking it around. So Murata is clearly trying to give us displays of physical power from him. Some of the other people that he's encountered at the same exact time were some A and B class heroes that attacked him, most notably Neon. So in that encounter, Neon was trying to cut off his horn, and he made it his primary goal and target instead of actually killing Rhino Wrestler. So I don't necessarily believe that Neon couldn't have killed Rhino Wrestler. Maybe even the three of them, Okamatachi and Bustro together, maybe even could beat him as well. But in that exchange, Iain wasn't necessarily focused on that. So it does make me degrade his position of power just a bit. That an A class of that tier, very strong, wasn't taking him as seriously. But the rest of the encounter, how all the other heroes were bouncing off him, missing him, and he was giving them scores as to their combat abilities. He was cool to see. So Rhino Wrestler holds our 17th spot. In our 16th position, Super Mouse. Super Mouse showed up against Girl with Showerhead and Unihorn. Now, Super Mouse has the ability to regenerate. I believe that he's a lab mouse, that after several experiments was able to turn into a monster. He has a lot of physical strength. One of his signature techniques was actually throwing Unihorn. And when he threw it, it actually upset Rover. So he probably has a little bit of force behind it. Not to say that it actually affected Rover in a negative form where he like lost health or anything like that, but he definitely woke him up. So it's cool to see that the result of Super Mouse and Unihorn together can do something like that. He was also able to tank a direct slice from Goro. Goro learned Bomb's fighting style through their first encounter, and then he was able to quickly utilize it in combat 2 times. First against Royal Ripper, and then against Super Mouse. So Super Mouse taking that and healing within the panel, actually, I believe within that same page, he actually healed up from the cut. It's pretty goddamn impressive. From taking a combat hand-to-hand hit from a dragon level fighter like that, and Goro wasn't a low dragon. He was a mid dragon, not a true dragon yet, but he was a mid dragon. So that's pretty impressive on Super Mouse's part. We're gonna have him take the 16th position. Our 15th spot is held by G4. G4 has 2 sections. He has a large armored up mech, if you want to call it that, where he sits in, and then there's a smaller version, which is his original, I believe. The large mech is very powerful in terms of strength. He also has a blade, and it can do damage, but it was easily combated by Genos. Now, this is the Genos after fighting Deep Sea. This is a Genos that is capable at this time period of pretty much taking on Sonic. So G4 wasn't horrible. Whenever he was able to get into the small form and pull out his lasers, they were very, very dangerous, and it seemed like it could be very, very effective against a different target that wasn't Genos himself. But his durability does say something to lack for. Once again, these are all types of attacks and opportune opponents, so maybe G4 can hold more position on this list. He was very, very capable, but I think we can all agree that his smaller form was more effective than his larger form. In our 14th position, we have Grizzly Neon. Now, Grizzly Neon showed up in a side story with Genos and Saitama, and Saitama was looking for this little girl's cat. And Neon, I believe, has multiple, what is it? I guess Grizzly Neon is a term that describes a monstrous cat, because there's 2 that we saw. I'm not sure if it's a nest, but we saw a calmed down version of it, which was pretty fucking crazy. He was about the size of a small house or a regular house, and he was very, very agile and very fast. But the other Neon that we saw was the size of a large office building, larger than that actually, and his scream was just as potent as a fist throw from other creatures and other monsters. Grizzly Neon, unfortunately, because we didn't get to see the full display of power, isn't going to be able to just like get a complete raise on this list. He could take 2 or 3 positions above people above him, but he seemed monstrous. And it's actually one of the reasons why I'm a little bit upset as to how Neon, the actual dragon, cadre, is acting at the moment. It may be characteristic to his character, but I definitely like to see him take on Pooty head on, which we'll probably see in the next few chapters. For our 13th spot, we have Face Ripper. Now, Face Ripper is really a monster who is very, very competent, and because of the progression of Genos, it makes it a little bit easier to rank him compared to others. Now, some information that we have is that apparently when Genos, in an audiobook, Genos took a simulation, or was a simulation fight between, or involving Metal Bat, Genos, Carnage Kabuto, and others. And I believe that, or I guess it was stated that Genos was able to or would have been able to 2-shot or beat Deep Sea King easily from what we saw back then. So to have Face Ripper not only take on a Genos who's several times stronger than Deep Sea at the time period, quote unquote, And then we see him take a blast from Genos, and he's going to block it with both of his blades. And going head on and then attacking Genos had to defend himself from the hand-to-hand flurry, and he was getting fucked up. His arms, the armor on his arms was getting chopped up, and it took him a surprise counterattack, and it was a single hit actually as well, that killed Face Ripper. So combatively and offensively, he's a dangerous guy. But compared to maybe even others on the list, he doesn't have a full package. Deep Sea himself is an example of this, where he kind of does have a full package to an extent. Obviously, as I mentioned earlier, there was a feat that showed otherwise in terms of information, but in terms of physical display, both of these monsters, both Deep Sea King and Face Ripper, are ferocious. Our number 12th spot is held by G5. Now, G5 is another robot whose origins is actually quite mysterious. We don't know if he has complete affiliation to G4. We don't know exactly what his true intentions are at the moment in the storyline either. We just know that he's a robot, he has the G5 moniker, and he may be associated with him. So, in the first presentation that we get, he's able to deal with one of Child Emperor's robots that's meant to deal with, like, you know, weaker level monsters, but it's capable. And he was able to, like, well, let me not say he was able to deal with it. It's currently been off screen what he did up against the Dogbot. So, the menacing nature in which Murata drew G5 entering into the fray, destroying Child Emperor's first little device that was used to target him, and having G5 actually be introduced after Phoenix Man, in terms of like in the demon scaling of stuff. It makes me feel like G5 is powerful, or is powerful, or maybe even stronger than what we think. Now, I'm going to be correct when I say this. I'm not saying that G5 is currently fighting or lost to Child Emperor's dog robot, but I haven't seen anything from it. In our 11th spot, we have Devil Longhair. Devil Longhair recently showed up in the monster, or in the Hero Invasion arc of the Monster Association, and of the Hero Association, and he's seeming pretty powerful. The top 3 A-class heroes are struggling for their life to combat him because of his hair capabilities. So he's able to extend his hair large distances, and it has a lot of force and speed behind it, as well as piercing capabilities. Yeah, he mentioned that because of the numerous amounts of strains in their size, and they could easily bypass their armor, slide through the cracks and crevices, and hurt their vital organs, which is going to be super disadvantageous for them or for anybody who wants to fight. Even armor isn't necessarily a big benefit. So we're going to have to, that leaves opponents who have like skin who's just tough, carapace is just tough, you know, situations where you can't necessarily get around defenses. That being said, Grizzly Neon has had his hair pierced through the ground and attacked from underneath and from behind. So he's very, very capable tactically. He's evasive, it seems, as well. And he's able to control all those strains autonomously at the same time. So he can attack multiple targets, fight multiple people. He's a very, very capable individual at this moment. Devil Longhair. Up next on the list is Chose. Now, Chose is a martial artist who ate a monster cell during the world tournament that Saitama was involved in. Or excuse me, martial arts tournament that Saitama was involved in. He did lose his initial matchup, but it was because he fought one of the stronger candidates. Now, once taking the monster cells, he challenged Shiryu. He was very, very happy with his power, and Chose's pretty strong combatively. He's the number 10 spot on the list for a reason. So he's cracking our top 10. But in terms of fighting capability, he was matching Shiryu for quite a bit of time actually. His little beam attack as well, the Inferno Annihilating Shot, I think it was, Race Annihilating Shot. It was some weird ass shit like that. It was exceptionally powerful. Shiryu had to throw it up, and it cleared the clouds above the battlefield. Once that happened, so not only is that a feat for Shiryu and his physical capabilities, but Chose's strong. Chose's really, really, really strong. Up next is Pure Blood. with our 9th position. Now, Pureblood showed up against an S-Class hero, Zombie Man, and held his own for quite a bit. He actually won the encounter 200 times. Now, here's a stipulation to the situation. Zombie Man is an S-Class fighter, and he's capable in all instances. But his main capability is his immortality. He can be killed in several manners and survive and regenerate and reform himself. So, in terms of offensive capabilities compared to other heroes, he doesn't necessarily, like, outclass a lot of the heroes. I would even dare to say that he's kind of towards, like, the bottom 5 of the S-Class in terms of, like, offensive destructive capabilities. But he is an exceptional combatant. And as we saw, his tenacity and his ability to overcome perilous situations is pretty great. Especially in tandem with his immortality, he overcame an individual who beat him 200 times in a row. And that's the feat that goes for Pureblood. He beat an S-Class hero 200 times in a row. Exceptional speed, was able to catch large and above averagely powerful explosive bullets and toss them right back. He also has the ability to regenerate. Granted, with the assistance of monsters and blood around him, but it's more or less the same. He's a tough combatant. For our next pick, we have a cheat. Now, these are two combatants who I think have very, very similar capabilities. I was either going to leave one of them off the list, but I felt that their position pretty much holds this spot. So I put them both here together. I don't care what you guys say. They're both pretty tough. Now here we have the Beast King and the Deep Sea King. Now the Deep Sea King's potential may be a lot higher than the Beast King, but the Beast King's, from what we saw, his fighting capability is pretty high off base. Now, he doesn't really have like the same amplification of feats as Deep Sea does. Once Deep Sea's at full hydration, as we say, it may be even different underwater. He's a crazy fighter, taking out buildings in single attacks, flying around battlefields, speed similar to Sonic. He almost outclasses Beast King. Beast King's flurries, and his ferociousness, as I mentioned, his own size and amplification. He's capable well. I would definitely put the Deep Sea King above the Beast King in this positioning, but we're going to have them in the same spot as the other opponents. They have different capabilities and contrast. As I mentioned before, a lot of these guys can beat the guys above them, maybe even lose to the guy below them, but overall they hold different packages. In our number 7th spot, we have 100-Eye Octopus. Now, 100-Eye Octopus showed up in the Monster Invasion arc, and Flashy Flash was one of the heroes that actually confronted him, along with Death Gatling, excuse me, I apologize, and some other heroes that failed. So, when Flashy Flash encountered him, he actually failed to kill him in his first flurry. He definitely fucked up a bunch of his eyes, but he kept on doing his thing. 100-Eye Octopus, is one of his biggest traits is that the more that he eats, the more concrete that he ingests, the larger he becomes. And that's, I guess, apparently addressing his strength capabilities as well. We saw Death Gatling shoot off some of his bullets at 100-Eye, and they just left some smoke, not even char marks or scuff marks on his tentacles. And then 100-Eye proceeded to attack where Death Gatling was, and he barely made it out. So he does have some targeting capabilities. He's not immobile, and he is getting stronger the longer he exists. So, not to mention the fact that one S-Class hero was going to require a secondary attempt to kill him. But the number 2 ranked S-Class hero is in what came to kill him instead. Once again, I'm not saying that Flashy couldn't have killed him, but that goes for a mark in 100-Eye Octopus's lane. Up next, we have Royal Ripper. Royal Ripper was one of the recently prominent demons that showed up in the arc for Goro. Goro got snuck attacked by him, and Royal Ripper dug into Goro, a demon level threat. Now this is impressive. He had the assistance of Bug God. We do have to state that, but Royal Ripper got in there. He really got in there, fucked up Goro badly, left him in a puddle of blood. Now, regardless of how fucked up Goro is, we know this to be a true fact. Munata himself drew the scenario to be to this extent. He thought 8 A and B class heroes. While he was completely messed up from encountering Watchdog, Saitama, Metal Bat, all the other fights that he had before this in succession. They all fucked him up pretty badly. So, to see Garou get right back up time and time again while fighting all those heroes, and then encounter all those other S-class, S-rank, Bang, Bomb, and Genos, it's tenacious. Warrior Ripper and Bug God were able to fuck him up alone, though. Now, you have to remember, he wasn't completely recovered. He was in bad mood, and he got snuck attacked. But just the fact that they were able to, like, you know, deal that much damage to them, that solidifies their position as demons, and maybe even high demons, solidified high demons. So Royal Ripper does hold our number 6 spot. For number 5, we have Evil Eye. Evil Eye is a badass. We didn't get a backstory, we didn't get much introduction, but when he showed up in the beginning of the hero invasion arc of the monster hideout, he led the assault up against all the S classes. Now, the first individual and the only individual he got to confront was Tatsumaki, and unfortunately we know how that's most often always going to turn out. But he did show off quite a bit of impressive things. He was lifting up large skyscrapers, entire trains, different types of like objects like that. So we know that he's capable in terms of like his telekinetic capabilities. So that's always an advantage against other monsters. We know that brute physical force can allow you to resist certain times of telekinetic capabilities, but he doesn't seem like he's going to encounter or he would encounter anybody of that sort. That being said, Evil Eye holds our number 5th spot. Up next, we have Awakened Cockroach. Now, in the recent tournament that we had to decide some of these positions on this list, Awakened Cockroach was a point of huge speculation. Awakened Cockroach is very, very powerful. He should beat a lot of guys, not to mention the feats that he has. But I guess in the tournament we had an occasion where Deep Sea fought Awakened Cockroach, and because of the information that we know about Genos, it's fair to say that Awakened Cockroach should be stronger than Deep Sea. And that's half the reason why he's above him on this list. His exceptional speed baffled Genos. There was even a point where Genos was attacking him, and then he counterattacked him first. How does your counterattack hit before the attack? So we know his capabilities are very, very powerful. After a certain point, he did get caught up, though, by Genos. Genos is a very, very strong opponent at this time period. He can fight high demons, as we know Awakened Cockroach is. And he took his legs off, man. Awakened was actually punished and killed for the fact that he lost to Genos in such a manner. So, unfortunately, he won't be back again, but he is in the big 5. In our number 3 spot, we have Bug God. As we mentioned before, Bug God was pivotal in the defeat of Garou, a dragon-level threat in the recent chapters. He has immense strength. His defensive capabilities in his shell are very, very powerful. An individual as strong as Garou actually couldn't pierce through his armor with his attack. So we know he has very formidable defenses. He's level-headed to a certain extent, and he talks a lot of shit, but he seems to be holding his own. The current theories or speculation right now in the community is he's going to have a confrontation with Darkshine. 2 large individuals that seem to elude large amounts of physical capabilities. So it'll be interesting to see that matchup. I don't believe he'll lose to Bug God if Darkshine does encounter him, but that perception can only be adjusted if Bug God can level up. Now, I don't read the webcomics, so I don't know if that character is involved in that type of situation. But Phoenix Man made his fight so much better by increasing his power level. And by going from demon to dragon. So let's see if Bug God can do the same. Or the second position that we have is for Mosquito Girl. Now, as we mentioned, all these monsters are in positions where they're going to be at their full capabilities. So in the tournament as well, we actually evaluated Mosquito Girl. She has she has all the blood of a city, the same as she had in the anime and in the manga, excuse me. So that being said, she's very, very capable. She has a lot of cutting ability. She can cut buildings, multiple large buildings in half with single attacks. She's able to. There's a panel where she actually was flying around the beam that Genos had thrown at her. So her speed is definitely the highest tier. I don't think Dr. Kuseno spends a lot of time or focuses upgrades on increasing the speed of which the beams that Geno's throws are released. So we can probably say that his cannons, even though they may be exceptionally stronger now, they probably don't release faster than they did back then, or that much faster. I think her speed holds consistent even to this day and time. She's very, 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 very fast, and that's one of the biggest factors in all of these. Your ability to attack, how much damage you do in attack, how much damage you can do when you take, what your full power like. A lot of those factors came in when we were discussing these, and Mosquito Girl took the second position, along with Flight. And the titties. The titties helped her win, too. In our number one position, the top demon is Haragiri. Now, Haragiri faced one of the stronger S-Class heroes in Atomic Samurai, along with 4 other top-class fighters that may even be considered to be S-Class. And he was given the assignment to kill them all, or convert them to monsters. He didn't fear, and he seemed like he was capable. Now, whether he was ignorant of Atomic Samurai's capabilities, or the capabilities of the other samurai, is unknown at the moment. He was boasting about his capabilities, so he probably understood Atomic's power and speed, and thought that he had subverted already with the transformation. Now, that being the primary case, because he targeted Atomic on purpose, I do feel like the other samurai aren't as strong as him. That was kind of the atmosphere that was being portrayed from the other samurai when they were having a discussion, even with Haragiri present before his transformation. It seemed as if the blind, or the samurai master with his eyes closed, I forgot his name, but that he was mentioned to be around the level of Bang, or that sub-sort. So, if that were to be true, or if he were to be severely weaker than Bang, he's still an S-Class, it seems. So this is 4 S-Class guys that Haragiri was threatening to kill in his stance. And Atomic Samurai. He's easily beaten, easily cut in half as he was attacking. So we know Atomic speed is the main reason for this win, but I don't necessarily see any other monsters on this list matching that attacking speed that Haragiri gets. Maybe Awakened Cockroach can fly around and avoid a certain radius, but I think once Awakened gets within a certain range of Haragiri, he would die as well. But God is very, very powerful, but I'm not sure if his armor should be able to stop a cutting blade of that capability. And Evil Eye is probably one of the better threats for him. We don't know the mobility of Haragiri, but I'm assuming that he'd be exceptionally or acceptably capable in terms of mobility, not just with his blade power. So the things that Evil Eye could throw at him could be cut in half easily. And it would probably be the issue is, I guess, getting to Evil Eye in general. Royal Ripper has 2 blades. He's very, very, very capable and a very ferocious combatant. But his fighting style isn't necessarily refined for a speed bout, single attack speed bouts. So Haragiri took this list. Very, very capable. In the comment section below, tell me your top 20 demons. Who are the top 20 guys that you could see taking on any person in the listings? And let me know how strong they are. Yo!